Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, last time, we looked at a Marvel and DC crossover. So we're going to look at another crossover, but this is Star Trek X-Men crossover. And you go, what the hell are you thinking here? But yes, they actually did. This is of course, from Marvel Comics. This is from 1996. Marvel X-Men. Star Trek X-Men. This was 1996, and it was at the time. The time when Marvel got the licensing rights to Star Trek, the Star Trek properties again for the second time. And this is when they had, for just 2 or 3 years, they had a whole slew of comic titles. Of course, some classic Trek, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, etc. And then they had their own original Star Trek titles, the early years, and the Starfleet Academy. But this is right at the beginning of that, and maybe this was to bring their regular comic X-Men, for example, readers in and get hooked on the new Star Trek stuff, and maybe it's also for Star Trek readers to get hooked on with X-Men. I don't know. I did not see this when it was first published at all, because I got this quite some time later. I don't even remember when I got it. But there was also a sequel to it that was Next Gen X-Men crossover, and then just a short time later, that was come out in 1998, was this novel of Star Trek: The Next Generation, X-Men Planet X. Yeah, it's a regular novel, regular Star Trek novel, and this is by Michael Jan Friedman, and I got this secondhand too, and I still have not read it. I started it once, but I need to go back and do it again. But this one is a sequel to the Next Gen X-Men crossover comic book. You can tell that in context. Oh, and I forgot to mention before I got into that, I was going to. It's been quite a while since I've mentioned my books here. My first one is Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology. Some humor and a little bit of adventure, and then Bizarre Brain Comics presents Heroes. A little bit more mainstream, has some superhero stuff and a little bit of horror stuff, and even got a Western story in there. And I thank everyone who has already got theirs, and invite you to get yours. You get your copy. They're available on Amazon. You can find them on Barnes & Noble online store and other online book outlets. I just do not recommend eBay, just because I have looked on eBay and then trying to sell it for like $12, $15. So $7.99 each. So back to Star Trek and X-Men. Okay. Now this story was written by Scott Lobdell, and it features in the story the art of 10 artists. That's pencilers and inkers. So I'm not even going to talk about them. And then has a bunch of pinups in the back. It is a little longer story. I think it's a 48-page book, but it's not all story. So let's take a little look inside, and I'll try to be a little briefer here because it gets complex. So, our main cast. All the artists seem to do a pretty good job of capturing the likeness of, for the most part, the of the likeness of the original cast. I just have to say, this image of Kirk looks. Now I can't think of the actor's name. It looks more like what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Who plays Captain Pike on Strange New Worlds? But just in that one shot. But anyway, this takes place, of course, during the time of the original series, and something has appeared near the planet Delta Vega, which was the planet where Gary Mitchell and the blonde lady were lost, and the second pilot where no man has gone before, and where they had all the psychic powers and stuff, which kind of fits in. So the Enterprise is sent to investigate. So here they are, and some really weird stuff going on. They don't know what it is. Talking about, and some kind of ship comes through a rift in space. Oh, that's a really good image of Spock. And then, boom! This other big ship comes through this rift. Oh my gosh! It's like nothing they've ever seen before. And then something comes, and here is. It says, "I am the Gladiator Praetor of the Imperial Guard." This is, of course, and if you're an reader of X-Men comics, you may be familiar with him. He is one of the officers in the Shi'ar Empire, and he said, "Now leave. We're claiming this planet for ourselves." Yada yada yada, and says, "Just go away," basically. So, but then there's some detecting something not right on the ship. Scotty's looking around and says, I feel like I'm being watched. Well, he was being watched, because there's Wolverine, and he gets back, and there are the rest of the X-Men. They have been transported aboard the Enterprise into some cargo bay, and it's like, what the heck? I'll be a bit spoilery here. Is that it turns out that there was something going on. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand. They, but the Shi'ar ship and the X-Men were transported from an alternate universe to this. Through time and to a different universe, to the Star Trek universe, and X-Men are actually being pursued by the Shi'ar, because they were also, I guess, investigating something. I've forgotten all the details. It doesn't matter. Turns out Gambit is injured here, so Beast and Storm take Gambit, because Jean Grey, she's scoping the whole place, psychically scoping the place out, and they're trying to take him to someplace where he can be treated, because they realize there's a medical facility. Here we are. Some more really good Star Trek imagery here with the cast and stuff. And Spock says he detects something. So he goes looking around, and here they get into sick bay, and then Dr. McCoy enters. He says, "Oh my gosh!" And he says he's injured. So McCoy just puts aside anything regarding unauthorized people on the ship. So this guy's injured. Got to be a doctor. And they even have this little in-joke here when Nurse Chapel walks in and says, "Dr. McCoy," and the Beast and McCoy both turn and say, "Yes," because they're both Doctors McCoy. And elsewhere, the X-Men are going through the passageways. And they're intercepted by Spock. He had psychically detected him, has a drawn phaser on them. Wolverine, being Wolverine, he jumps to attack, goes to attack, and is quickly laid low by Spock with a Vulcan nerve pinch. But it doesn't last very long. He quickly recovers, and he's as Spock is confronting the rest of the X-Men, and he says, "Now would be a good time to take us to your leader," which is what he had in mind in the first place. So they get to the bridge, introduce them. They find out that they're not bad guys; they're good guys. Find out that they're from an alternate universe, etc., etc., and then we are aboard the Shi'ar ship, the Shi'ar warship, and the lady has apparently they've come trying to find Proteus. Is that what his name? Yeah, Proteus. I guess a major character in X-Men lore who I am unfamiliar with, but is very psychically inclined and stuff, and was banished by Kevin McTaggart. It says here, but to space. Well, here he is on the planet of Delta Vega. There, and it's actually there because of the strong psychic impressions from the planet, which was left still present in the corpse of Lieutenant Gary Mitchell from years before, and Proteus has taken over and basically made Gary Mitchell's corpse a zombie, a possessed zombie, and is using his powers for creation and is creating a whole new cityscape there. And suddenly, problems on the Enterprise. Slam, slam. What's going on? They realize they beam down to the planet, which is an automated lithium cracking station, and they're surprised to see beam down right into a city that shouldn't be there, but it is the creation of him. And there is the Gary Mitchell corpse inhabited by Proteus, with the Empress and various other super beings from the Shi'ar Empire. And he is basically controlling them, trying to take over the, going to expand his power base, using the power in Gary Mitchell's corpse. And people are consulting, yada, 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 get into the fight on the planet, boom, boom, boom. And finally, I'm not going head-to-head psychically with Jean Grey. They may well be, even Jean might be outmatched, but she's the most powerful. And while he's distracted, everyone else, phasers, optic blasts, lightning storms, etc., zap and disintegrate the corpse of Gary Mitchell. Boom. Which brings a stop to all of this stuff, and they're all zapped back to their respective ships, and or about to be, and going to take off. So, which brings our adventure to a close with X-Men and Starfleet being friends. Boy, sure has Scott incredibly muscular there, considering he was always nicknamed Slim. He's anything but slim. He's just not fat. But and the X-Men are beamed back to the Shi'ar ship as it goes back through the rift. The rift closes, and the Enterprise and crew, Kirk and crew. Oh, and here again, it looks like that Captain Pike. I hadn't noticed that before. I love that show. I wish I could remember his name right now. And and all is well in the Star Trek universe once again. Then we have a gallery here, a pinup gallery of some crossover stuff and some not so much, but that definitely crossover. What the heck? And see, that's just classic. Gag. just against the Klingon and X-Men Trek, and then classic Trek, and then it has a list, goes through pages of previews of their new Star Trek titles that were coming out about this time. And that is all for Star Trek X-Men crossover. I enjoyed it. It's so many characters, so involved. It's hard to keep that stuff straight. The plot was kind of basic, not bad. Sometimes the page layouts were, depending on who the artist was, made it difficult to follow what was going on. The visual storytelling, while it looked spectacular, it made it difficult to read, which was common at this time in the superhero comics. But I enjoyed it. It's the kind of, usually you say, what the heck? But there have been a lot of other crossovers. There have been like Star Trek and Doctor Who, and I'm surprised there hasn't. No, there would never be Star Trek Star Wars crossover except in fan publication. But but that's all. It was an enjoyable read. It had some real nice artwork in it, and that's about all I have to say about this one. I never got the issue. I've never seen that one issue of Star Trek Next Gen and X-Men crossover, but I've got this book, and I'm going to have to get that read one of these days. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below, and remember, comics are art.